What I'm happy about, though, is the collapse of organized libertarianism. In other words, little Rand Paul, the last time I looked, was at 1% in the national poll. I believe he was in 12th place. In other words, if they have another one of these debates,
he'll be at he'll be on the minus. He'll be minus.
He will be at the kiddie table, little Rand. And I take this to be a kind of historical nemesis, because we those of us who took part in the 9/11 Truth Movement saw the ruthless exploitation and wrecking of that by the Paul Tard faction. What they wanted to do was to use the 9/11 Truth people and sympathizers to be a money bags for the leprechaun, right? Ron Paul, the senior
bagman,
bird.
Bagmen and bagwomen. Okay.
Bagman. Okay, so he's certainly that. That's little Ron, and now we have Rand. So this is now, in other words, this entire Paul Tard dynasty has been, or Paul Bearer, if you like. This has been made
that was
up
very
out
clever.
It's not new.
Paul Tard. Oh, it's not. Oh, that was good.
Paul
just off the
Tard
top
and
of your
Paul
head.
Bearer. Don't forget Paul Bearer, right?
I got you. Yeah.
P-A-U-L.
Sure.
All right. So remember, libertarianism is artificial. It has no roots in the United States. It's a complete foreign body. The Austrian school, right? Do we think that Washington was in the Austrian school, or Hamilton, or Franklin? Even Jefferson is not. He's bad, but he's not as bad as some of these Austrians that we find. This entire thing was artificially created. And it was created in particular by David Rockefeller personally. When he went to the London School of Economics, he was such a dunderhead that he had to get somebody to write his papers so he could get his degree. And this turned out to be Friedrich von Hayek. Von Hayek had a short career as a scribbler in the Viennese newspapers. His job was to write articles in the Vienna News and the Neue Presse and all these, and saying rent control is bad. End rent control, because he was hired by groups of landlords who wanted to be able to gouge their tenants.
Right.
So that's the wonderful, heroic origin of von Hayek. Then later on, and of course, David Rockefeller helped von Hayek to come to the United States for quite a while. Then we have von Mises, right? We have the wonderful von Mises Institute. Well, that guy was also brought over by David Rockefeller. We now know that the Koch brothers funded the Cato Institute, the first think tank of these libertarians, and now what we see. So right now, I think this entire experiment is coming to an end. Their ideology is being destroyed, right? And you see the pathetic arguments that somebody like Rand Paul offers, right? Above all, Rand Paul is turned against his own demagogy. In other words, he's essentially destroyed himself. His idea was
1%. Wow, amazing.
1% in and 12th place. That's a national poll, of course. He's somewhat better than that in certain
geographical areas. Yeah, I know.
In Iowa, he's a couple of percentage points, but he's definitely in the third tier. He's not in the first group.
Well, one more debate like the last one, he'll be on the negative side.
Well, he was obviously so desperate that he felt he had to attack Trump right off the bat for anything that was said. So this is now coming to an end, and I say it's better so. Because, again, this is a completely artificial creation. There is no indigenous tradition like this, except if we look at the darker underside of the Paul Tard faction, is that they're white supremacists, right?